after agreeing to watch his neighbor's cat. A man named Hank suddenly finds himself in the middle of a bloody massacre involving various gangs. They all want something from him, but Hank himself doesn't understand what. The film begins in 1998 in New York City. Here Hank works at a bar called Paul. Once the terror of baseball fields, now just a bartender with failing health and a failing sports career. He's cleaning the place after hours when his friend Yvonne, a paramedic who's off duty, visits. The couple returns home where they meet a punk named Russ. Russ is flying to London because his father is ill and asks Hank to foster his cat Buddy, who bites for the occasion. He's brought Buddy's favorite litter box. The bartender agrees even though he doesn't like cats. He doesn't like feeling like he's not the pinnacle of evolution, but the slave of a shaggy fur generator. As soon as she leaves in the morning, Hank notices that the cat's stomach demands sacrifice. He goes to Ross's apartment to pick up food when two unpleasant guys, Alexei and Pavel, appear on the landing. They're looking for Ross, and judging by their faces, they're not there to discuss the Sex Pistols. One thing leads to another, and so the visitors beat Hank. When they leave, he lies like a moth-eaten rag in a pool of his own urine, mixed with blood, passing out. The bartender has a dream from the past. He, a young and promising athlete, is driving with a friend in a car, throwing down booze when a woman steps out onto the road. Hank swerves the wheel and the car careens straight into a lonely pole. The guy wakes up in the hospital under Yvonne's care. During the fight, if you can call it that, he suffered a ruptured kidney and doctors urgently removed it. On the way home, his girlfriend explains that he'll have to give up his favorite hobby, alcoholism. One kidney simply won't handle the binges at home. Yvonne reminds him that they can build a relationship if Hank gets his act together. She doesn't need a guy who'll skip a bar party and go to an audience with the Apostle Peter. When she leaves, the bartender pours out the booze to avoid temptation. His Majesty the cat, a specialist in creating chaos, steps in and knocks over an open beer on the bed. Hank drags his wet laundry to the laundromat to do the laundry. On the way back, he sees a line of bikers. He himself had chased bikers in a past life and in a previous film, and behind them is a bald Russian bully with the face of a wildling. You can't chase a bald guy like that so easily. Barman runs home, but on his floor, Baldy's henchman Pavel, nicknamed Microbe, and a third thug break down Ross's door. Hank climbs to the roof to climb down the fire escape to his apartment windows. When he peers into the neighboring apartment window where the visitors are scurrying around, Micro nearly burns him. Barman hurriedly climbs through his own window, nearly falling in the process. When Hank calls the police, narcotics detective Roman arrives with the patrol officers. The woman explains to Hank that the neighbor was involved in drug trafficking before doing two things: foolishly abandoning his accomplices and running away to avoid them. That's why the thugs were looking for him, and Hank got caught in the crossfire. The detective warns the guy that even more dangerous people, the Hasidic brothers and druggers, are hunting Ross. The woman warns him to call her if he sees them. Later, Hank notices that the buddy poop in the litter box isn't real. A key is hidden in one of them. The ex-athlete then notices more guests breaking into the Ross's place, those same Jewish Drucker brothers. When the Hasidim leave, Hank calls Detective Roman. After leaving a message on the answering machine, he goes to the bar to hide the key. There he's ambushed by some local drunks led by the bar owner, who persuade him to have a few drinks. Succumbing to temptation, Hank gets completely drunk. After this, the nights blur together, culminating in an argument with Yvonne as she drags him home. Near the entrance, Hank takes off his dirty clothes, leaving them on a pile of trash. That night, he has another nightmare about the fatal accident. His friend died and Hank injured his knee. From these sad memories, he is wrenched into an equally sad reality. Mafia gangsters Alexei and Pavel brought along a friend nicknamed Colorado. These thugs not only beat Hank, but also hurt the cat he hides under the closet. Colorado threatens his owner with a gun, trying to get him to tell them he left it for him. Once Barman admits he found a key hidden in the tray, but he lost it during a night of drinking and has no memory of where it was. To refresh his memory without a thermorectal cryptanalyzer, Alexei uses pliers to remove the staples from the incision left after a kidney removal, the result of their previous encounter. The intense interrogation is interrupted by a knock on the door from a neighbor downstairs. Disgruntled by the noise, when the microbe opens the door to scare him off, he flees. Colorado, fearing he'll call the police, suggests they run away. Finally, he He threatens Hank with killing everyone he cares about if he doesn't find the key soon and return it to them and don't call the police. This isn't a lost and found. Hank goes to Yvonne to ask for help, look after the cat injured by the bandits, and stitch up a damaged scene. She suggests calling the police, but the barman is afraid of making the situation worse. That evening he tries to call Paul, the bar owner, from a payphone. When he notices Hasidic brothers politely inviting him in for a chat, recalling his athletic past, Hank organizes a cross-country running masterclass. The Jews give chase, but the guy manages to escape through shops and back streets, leaving them high and dry. It's unlikely those side-swept guys wanted to treat him to matzah. Having escaped, the guy calls Colorado, but when he mentions Yvonne, he hangs up and runs to the girl. Alas, he doesn't make it. She lies dead in a pool of her own blood, shot in the head, but the cat wasn't harmed. Hank calls the police and Detective Roman himself. During questioning, the woman says the girl was killed by a point-blank shot and challenges Hank to tell everything he knows before the gangland busts claim more lives. Roman invites Hank for coffee, taking a few buddy drinks along with him. The detective says Colorado didn't kill him. This club owner is a tough guy in name only, but the conversation turns out to be a trap. The woman lured Hank to turn him over to the criminals she's in cahoots with. They all go to Paul's bar, leaving the cat hostage. The bartender goes inside, where he discovers he didn't leave the key. In the aftermath of the carousing, he forgot to do it. Hank realizes he's framed his employer when Roman and his accomplices enter the bar. During a brief confrontation with Bala, Colorado shoots him and then threatens Paul with a gun. Roman retaliates by killing Colorado himself before he can unleash a bloodbath. Suddenly, Paul admits the key is in a safe in the basement in a secure room. The entire crew descends into the dungeon to search for the treasure. Opening a drawer under the table, the bartender pulls out a shotgun, but quickly and very far away. He throws the bucket. The sheer weight of firepower is decisive. Roman reminds him that the police won't have any trouble pinning all the fresh corpses on him. She offers a deal for the key in exchange for dropping the case, then leaves. Hank goes home, where he remembers taking off his clothes. A homeless man picked up his pants and hands over the key without question. At home, Hank hears someone sneaking through the front door and greeting the guest with a baseball bat. The guest turns out to be the one who has returned. Once again, a stunned Hank explains to him the whole axe and gun tangle, after which they go to the punk's hiding place. On the way, Ross explains that he'd long ago dealt with the Drucker brothers, selling drugs. They'd recently gotten in touch and offered to sell a large shipment. When Detective Roman arrested him, he wanted to turn in Hasidim to negotiate his freedom. It turned out the policewoman owed the crime bosses money, so they hatched a plan to sell drugs in Colorado nightclubs. Why did they bring in bald thugs? The deal worked. The money was kept by Ross, who acted as the accountant. The gang was supposed to split the profits. On the day the punk's father fell ill, dropping everything, he flew home. Losing contact, his accomplices, thinking he'd screwed them, came to his house. That's when Hank got involved. Ross keeps over $4 million in cash in his vault. A satisfied Hank wants to tell Roman he's found the money, but the punk decides to play it safe, figuring his colleagues in the dangerous business would kill him for such a blunder. He decides to take the money and run. This time for real, he threatens Hank with a gun, but Hank, seizing the moment, knocks him down and hits him on the head. Having confirmed that the punk has no brains and is not in danger of a concussion, Barman calls Roman to set up a meeting and exchange cash for the cat. He's become quite attached to it. Together with the awakened Ross, they arrive at the agreed-upon location, a park square full of witnesses. When the detective's car and his criminal partners pull up, the situation begins to resemble a side mission from GTA 4. Any minute now, Niko Bellic will show up for the shootout. The punk will take the bandits to the money and everyone will be happy. But Ross doesn't like the outcome. Having broken free, he attacks the microbe, takes the machine gun and shoots Alexei, then retreats to the car. The cat bites Roman to escape and runs to Hank, escaping once saying that Roman killed Yvonne with a point-blank shot. Just like Colorado, the detective rams the car, initiating a chase through the park. Noticing an ice cream van, Hank slams on the handbrake, letting the pursuers pass. Losing control, they crash, allowing the fugitives to escape. The blows to the head cause Russ to become ill, and he loses consciousness. Hank, who hasn't driven since the previous accident, drags him to the nearest subway to lose himself in the crowd. Climbing aboard, they watch the doors close on their pursuers. On the way, he asks a friend to take care of Bud and loses his spirit. The blows to the head have taken their toll. Too late, Hank gets out and goes to the beach, where he spends the whole night in thought. In the morning, he receives a call from a detective. Roman gives the boy's mother's home address, threatening to kill her if he doesn't return the money. He tells the police a time and place to meet. Then a plan forms in the boy's head. First, he calls his mother to ask her to leave the house for a while. Then he recalls the timeless classic and breaks the key to the border in half. Afterwards, Hank calls the Drucker brothers to arrange a meeting. When the Hasidim pick him up in a minibus, the bartender outlines the situation. The man who once conned them is dead. He knows where the money he owes them is, but Detective Roman has the key to the vault. If the brothers take it, shooting the cop along the way, Hank will gladly show them the way to the money. After discussing in Hebrew whether to trust him or kill him, the Druggers agree. He and Detective Roman have irreconcilable ideological differences. Arriving at the scene, the Jews tie the bartender to the steering wheel with a zip tie and armed go to confront him. The Hasidim begin shooting right at the entrance, eliminating the security guards inside. They shoot at anyone armed or displaying anti-Semitism. Hearing the gunfire, Roman decides to quickly flee. In the car, Hank uses the cigarette lighter to break the zip tie. He sees the detective running in one direction, while the brothers pursue her in another. The bartender runs after the corrupt cop, snatching a baseball bat from some kids playing in the street. In an alley, Pavel, the microbe, attacks him. Hank suggests settling the matter man-to-man with his fists. However, without the support of a fellow fighter, the microbe only has enough for 2 missed shots. After knocking Pavel out, the bartender runs on. The cunning Roman flank him. Hank manages to knock the gun away, but it's no match for him. In hand-to-hand combat, the woman proved more powerful than the microbe and beating herself after piercing her leg with a broken bat. Hank grabs the pistol but can't fire. However, the Hasidic brothers who had arrived do it for him. Hank admits he'd performed a miracle, deceiving the Druggers. In fact, he had the key hidden in the bandages on Batty's leg. Since it was already evening Shabbat, decent Jews are not allowed to drive. The brothers put Hank behind the wheel and tell him to go to the money. On the way, they discuss in Hebrew what to do with this. Out of generosity and sincerity, the brothers decide to give him a couple $100,000. Things are heading toward a happy ending. But when one brother, so as not to violate Shabbat, asks Hank to light a lighter for a cigarette, he recognizes the gun and lighter from the dead man over there and realizes it wasn't the detective who shot his girlfriend, but the Hasidim. The story moves toward its denouement, and Hank accelerates. Stepping on the gas, the car picks up speed, swerving until the driver chooses a suitable pole. The barman steers the car into an obstacle, grabbing the cat at the last moment. Hank, the only one wearing a seatbelt, escapes with bruises, while the brothers sustained injuries incompatible with life. In slang, this is called choking oneself. With Matzah taking the cat and the money he sent away, Hank changes his image and mows down a punk so he can fly abroad. Using a Ross passport, he settles on the tropical coast of Mexico, from where he calls his mother. He sent her half the money, so she would have enough for a comfortable retirement. The film ends happily. The sight of Batty the cat relaxing on the beach,